Hello everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all having a wonderful evening. A wonderful evening. I just finished up some dinner. I had some dinner and it was a good time. I hope you're all having a very wonderful day. I know Mondays are hard. Mondays are very difficult to get through. Hello. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of an academic lesson this time. Last week we did an ESL. We did ESL, English as a Second Language lesson. So now we're going to go back to academic. Let me see here. Sorry, let me see. I hope the BGM isn't too loud. Nice quiet BGM. So today I am going to teach you the sauce, where you get to find the sauce. How to write proper sources for when you are going to be doing your essays. And I think this is really important. I think this is important because you don't want to plagiarize. It's very quiet then. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be too loud, so I wanted to turn it down a little bit. Maybe if it's like right there. Hopefully that's good. Hopefully that's okay. So we can talk about the 6-digit codes, but I think that wouldn't be appropriate for school. I think that would be a little bit more appropriate for office hours to talk about those 6-digit codes, but I understand where you're coming from. So we're going to be going on a little bit more academic. We are going to be talking about how to cite a source. So let's get down with it. Let's get down. So how do we cite a source? Here, I'm gonna make it really big so everybody can see. So, this is what I'm going to be doing. We're going to be mainly focusing on MLA. We're going to be mainly focusing on MLA format. But, if you are in an English class, you are most likely going to be using MLA format. So there's MLA format, there is APA. Usually for science and mathematics, they use APA. And then usually if you take a history class, they use Chicago style. And I believe there's lots of different kinds of styles for how to reference things for your essays. But MLA is the most common one, and MLA is the one that is very common in universities. So we're going to be doing MLA for this one. So some people might have an MLA handbook, and I'm going to get a little bit more details into MLA format, but the first thing when people teach is they want to activate your knowledge. We want to see what you already know, because I know you're a bunch of smart students out there, and I want to see what you already know. Maybe you've already been taught a little bit of MLA, maybe before in high school. You never know. So let's see here. There's also a way that you can check for plagiarism too. You could always reverse search your quotations. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this. Let's see here. Sometimes what people like to do too, well, this is more for writing your essay in general, but you could always check your essay. You can have a friend proofread it, or you can also use Grammarly. Some people like Grammarly. I like using it. I like using the teacher's version because I get to check for plagiarism. So let's get started for how to cite a source. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a warm-up first. We don't want to plagiarize, and plagiarism is bad. So what is plagiarism? Does anybody know what plagiarism means? So plagiarism is a no-no. Plagiarism is bad. It's copying someone's work exactly, and you don't want to copy somebody's work. You never, 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 ever want to do that. Because you don't want to take somebody's hard work and then you say, hey, look. Hey, I made this thing. I made this cool thing. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to take somebody's hard work. But the thing is, though, some people can plagiarize accidentally, too, because you don't want to take all the words either. You have to write things in your own words. And sometimes that can get a little bit difficult because that's where our thesaurus comes in. You have to try to use different words if you're trying to explain something. So what types of media can you use for research? You know what's kind of funny? When I was in university, there was MLA format for tweets, for like Twitter, which I thought was so interesting. So like, because Twitter was becoming so popular like years ago, MLA incorporated how to reference a tweet, which I found very, very interesting. So you can use media internet. Yep. Media on the internet. There's lots of different things you can use there. So you can use academic papers, you can use academic journals. You could scroll to the bottom of Wikipedia. That's the thing. A lot of professors or a lot of teachers don't like Wikipedia, but the thing is that Wikipedia is very reputable. If you scroll to the bottom of Wikipedia articles, you can definitely find the articles where the information is relevant and where the information was taken for those articles. So even if you find the sources at the very bottom of Wikipedia, you can take those references if you need to for your papers. As long as you can kind of see with, I would say like you have to treat things with scrutiny. Try to understand if the source is very academic or not. Some teachers don't like it if you take things from like magazines and kind of like informal media. But if you take things from like academic journals, or if you try to research things in like your own university or college library, those are the ones you want to keep at the top. Usually you want to keep your very academic sources at the top, and then you can take like the internet sources like a little bit more further bottom sometimes. But be careful, because we have to also keep our sources in alphabetical order as well. That's something that we're going to get to. You have to keep your sources also in alphabetical order. So it's good to have kind of like a balance. You want to have your academic sources, but you can also take things from like other forms of media as well. So yeah, newspapers. Newspapers are good. Yeah, newspapers are very good. Anything from a reputable source. You don't want to take things from like, let's say like fake media. You don't want to take things from those. You want to take it from reputable sources. So what is the main purpose of citing your sources in an essay or presentation? Oh, that's the other thing. If you ever make a PowerPoint presentation, like in class, for your teachers, or maybe if you have a PowerPoint presentation for your professors, you can use MLA format in your PowerPoint presentations as well. So that's something else you can do. The Onion is a reputable source. I wonder. So I am going to activate your knowledge. So I have a few vocabulary words right here. These are a few things. These are a few things that we can go through together. So this is like what we did last time. You can mix and match. Make sure that you are matching the words with the proper definition. So we have the words, we have cite, we have source, there's plagiarism, there's paraphrase, we have summarize. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, I can't read tonight. Parenthetical? Oh my gosh, I cannot read tonight. Just a minute.
Parenthetical.
Parenthetical. I wanted to make sure to pronounce that properly.
Parenthetical.
Parenthetical. Okay. There we go. We have thorough. We have style guide. And indent. We have et al, element, and irrelevant. Sometimes teachers like have a very, very long day too. It's hard to talk. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time and we can mix and match, well, not mix and match, but match the correct definition to the proper vocabulary. Do a little bit of a moment here. That's the thing. I feel like even people who are fluent or even native speakers for English, I feel like even we have a hard time trying to pronounce things. It happens. It happens. There's too many words that that have sounds that sound like other sounds. You know what? If you don't have paper, you could always open up your notepad. You can open up Notepad on the computer, or maybe if you want to take out your notes on your smartphone, that could be another thing. You could also use Microsoft Word. There's a few things you can use, but it's okay. I'm still going to show you all the definitions, so don't worry. No worries. Yes, you could also use Google Docs. Yep. Google Docs are so useful, very, very useful. Okay, I'll give like another moment. You know what? I abuse the notepad on my phone. Every time I have an idea, I just open like the notepad and I just start typing things that I just think of. English is, yes, it's a mix of lots of languages, Germanic, and then there's Latin and French, and there's lots of things that have been borrowed over time. Okay. Do you all feel that you had enough time to try to mix and match here? Try to go with the correct definitions. If you feel that you have enough time, I am going to show you. I will show you what the right answers are. Okay, I am going to kind of like move. Let me see. Can I move this a little bit over to the side here? Well, okay. Let's see here. Number one is cite. So that would be D. To provide a reference to an information source that you can follow. Or sorry, oh my gosh. No. To provide a reference to an information source that you can consult. Oh my gosh. You know what? Let me make this a little bit more smaller so then I can bring this over here. There we go. I think that's more appropriate. Okay. There we go. And then 2, source. That would be A. Oh no, teachers getting a little bit confused now. Okay. It's kind of funny, like I have a double monitor, so sometimes it gets a little bit wonky on some ends. But I want to make sure that everybody can see. So, number 2, we have source. Source is the thing or person that provided the information. So it could be a book or the author. So then for 3, plagiarism, which is the big no-no. The big no-no for plagiarism is F. F in the chat for plagiarism. No, nobody wants that. The act of copying another's work without proper citation. Summarize. For number 5, we have G, to provide the main points about a movie or story. So that is for summarize. Parenthetical for number 6, we have B, in brackets, to provide the extra information. And then 8. 8 is style guide. It's E, a manual that provides set formats that writers can follow. Okay, so then the next one we have is 9, indent. Indent is H, to leave a few spaces at the beginning of a sentence or entry. So when you indent, maybe some teachers have told you this, when you indent, you can use tab on your keyboard. So then you don't have to use like space. You can just use tab to indent your paragraphs. So the next one, et al. That is number 10. That is I. Or and others, used to indicate multiple authors. So what usually happens is that if you have multiple authors, I think it's usually like more, I think it was more than 3, you can use et al. So you can use the first author's name and then the rest of the authors. So then number 11 we have is element. Element is L, a component of a whole. And then for 12, we have irrelevant. Irrelevant is K. Not required or not important. Usually for essays, you want to make sure that all of your information is relevant. And you have to make sure that even your sources are relevant as well. If you find sources that are not relevant, maybe some of your teachers or your professors will be like, oh, why did they get this source? It doesn't relate to their point. Sometimes, you know what, I'm gonna say this, when I used to do like a lot of essays, I would actually sometimes find the quotes first and I would build my essays kind of like around the quotes. So I would try to find the information and then I would kind of like work my way backwards that way. Sometimes you can. I feel like there's like no like set of rules. As long as you find the proper information that you can support correctly, then you can do that too. As long as you have an interesting idea too for your thesis. As long as you have an interesting idea for that too. Okay. So we have number 1D, number 2A, number 3F, number 4C, number 5G, and then number 6B, number 7J, number 8E, and then number 9H. 10 is I, 11 is L, and 12 is K. That's the thing, you gotta know the rules, and then you could break the rules. You can get a little creative, because I feel like when you kind of know what you're doing, you can kind of work your way in different ways. So this is where I am going to bring in my own PowerPoint presentation. So you got to learn how to do some paraphrasing, and when you get to do, when you find the information for things in your class too. So there's a few things you got to know when you use the formats for MLA. You got to know the author's name, you got to know the book. Sometimes you got to know like the article name. Sometimes it can be a huge reference book. So you would need to know the article name. You would also need to know the year that it took place, and sometimes at the end you can say print or you can say web, depending on how your professors prefer it. Sometimes at the very end of your reference you could say like web or you can say print media, depending on where you got it from. So I have an interesting presentation for everyone. It's a little bit of some essay formatting as well. It's not just for finding your sources, but also trying to format your paper. Oh gosh, you know what? I'd say Chicago's like the easiest. I had a combination class. I had a combination between like an English and history class at one point, and the teacher wanted us to use Chicago, and I was super nervous to use Chicago, but it's so easy. It's very easy to use that one. I feel like there's a lot of rules when it comes to MLA and APA, but Chicago's probably the easiest one to use. Probably. Okay, I am going to switch things up a little bit. Switch it up, switch it up. Okay. Okay, I have, of course the teacher has a PowerPoint for everyone too. So we have Modern Language Association, MLA. This is what we're doing. This is how you're going to find the sauce, find the sources for your things. So it's a method to cite information in an essay or presentation. It also standardizes the format and page layout. So it's basically a way so for everybody can read things in the same way. Because if everybody was doing essays in different ways, it would get very confusing. So it's commonly used in academic settings like language schools, colleges, and universities. There are several methods to cite information such as MLA, there's APA as well, and Chicago. So, what is the standardized format? So, your teachers usually want you to use Times New Roman 12. So, they want you to use that. They want you to use double space. So, you have your spacing for Microsoft Word or maybe for your Google Docs as well. There we go. You can usually just put your period at the end. It doesn't really matter. So your margins are 1 inch, or it's 2.5 for centimeters. So it's 1 inch for imperial and then 2.5 for all around. So you can use the tab, like I mentioned before, to indent. Yeah, Times New Roman is everywhere. I think it's just because it's easier to read a serif text. Reading text with like the serifs. You can use a header. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your last name in the very corner, and then you're going to put the page number for every single page that you write. So it should line up with the right margin. So some professors may ask you to use your last name and basically just like check with your professor like what you're going to be doing. So there's an example one right there. So what you want to do is italics for titles. So you might need to check with your professors about this. Sometimes professors like to use italics for titles, but sometimes there's the odd time that they wanted us to use like underlining for titles. So you have to check with your teacher about that. Sometimes it's italics, sometimes I think italics is more common for the titles of books instead of using the underlined one. So you have your name, your instructor's name, the course, and the date. So make sure to use double spaces. Okay. And you want to center your title as well. Okay. So there's a few things here. I think maybe a lot of people already know how to do this. I wanted to get more into the citation stuff, but okay, we have the last name, we got the page number, we got Mr. Tom Smith is the name, we got the professor. You don't have to put professor here, but it's just showing that this is the professor's name. English 101 or whatever your course code is. We have the date. So this is how you do the date. This is how you do the date for MLA. You have your number first, you have so the day, you have the month for the month, and then you have the year. This would be the year. So you want to make sure that your title has capitals. You want to make sure that the capitals are in the right places for the words. And then you want to indent all your paragraphs at the very beginning. So you can press tab. You can press tab for that. And here is a little indication for your margins. So this side, this side, this side is going to be 1 inch. I remember for this part right here, it's going to be like 1/2 inch, I believe, or it was maybe like 1/4 inch for this part right here. So this part where you have your header can be a little bit, just a little bit more closer to the page. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Can I use non-scholarly sources? So it depends on the requirements of your professor, like I was saying earlier. Many students will use other sources to help them understand the issue or topic. However, when they write their essay, their supporting ideas quoted and paraphrased come from the scholarly academic sources. So you need to make sure that you're using the proper ones to support your ideas. The more you use the non-scholarly sources to support your ideas, the weaker your argument or position becomes. This will decrease your score and possibly cause a failing grade. It does depend on your professors, but it's better to take things from academic sources like journals and printed media. Or if you can find online academic journals, that would be fine too. So, what does the works cited mean? So the works cited is the thing that comes at the very, very end of your paper. So it means that the academic sources that you use to learn about the topics is arranged on a special page at the end of your essay or presentation. So it's called the works cited. It is the reference page at the very end of your essay. The key is to build a strong argument. Exactly, because if you have a weak argument, it all falls apart. Think about it in a way that you're trying to prove a point to like maybe a friend or maybe an enemy. You want to have the best argument to someone. You want to win. So maybe if you have like a very competitive personality, you can do your best that way. So there is a special order or format that you use to write down all the sources of your information, and it's very important that you keep track of all the information that you use. So these are the things that you have to remember. We need to pay attention to the punctuation that goes at the end. So think about this being like all in one line. So you have the author, you have the title of the source, you have the title of container, other contributors, sometimes there's editors and other people involved. You have the version. This thing right here, the version. Sometimes there are similar textbooks, but they reprint them with different editing and different ideas. So sometimes there's different versions of the same textbooks that you have to make sure that you note of. The version, the number, the publisher, and the publication date, and the location. Ooh, that's a lot to remember. That's a lot. But I have some examples for everyone. I have examples for all of you, so you don't have to worry about it. So this is what it's going to look like. If you have a book, that's pretty straightforward. Maybe you have to reference the source material of what you're arguing. So maybe you are talking about something that is like Shakespeare. Maybe you are talking about a book or a play. So we need to source the primary material, let's say. We have one author. We have the last name. We have the first name. The title is italicized. You have the publisher and the year of publication. Sometimes, like I said before, the professor might want you to put print at the very end, depending on what their rules are for their classes. It's always good to check with the professor for what they want with their essays as well, but this is, I'd say, a general guide. So, just like here, we have the last name, we have the first name. Make sure to check the punctuation for what you're using at the very end of your citations. The culture of cities. This is italicized. This is the title right here. And there is the period. Then the publisher, comma, year. Publisher, comma, year. I know, it's a little bit different, right? So, another one. We have two authors. We have the author's last name. So we have the first author always first, and then we have the second author. So for example, we have last name, first name, last name, first name, and the title, publisher, year of publication. So there we go. Last name, first name, comma, and There we go. First name, last name. So there are some examples again, and we also have 3 authors. 3 authors. That's when you can use et al. Right here. First author's last name, first author's first name, comma, et al. And then we have the name of the book. Oh, are there in 2 lines? That's actually something interesting that you have just pointed out. If your reference is getting a little bit too long, have you noticed here that you can indent? So once it becomes the second line, you indent the second line there. Good question. So if you're, so just like the one here that says 2 authors and this one that says 3 authors, it's getting a little bit long. So you got to indent when it gets to the second line. Good point. Good point. I didn't realize that at first. Sometimes I just look at it and I'm just like, oh yeah, that looks right. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll move over to the next slide then. You can always take screenshots as well if you want to take a look at this. So no worries, if you want to take screenshots along the way, feel free to. So for the next one, oh, no problem, no problem. We have journal articles. So this is what's going to happen here. When you have a journal article, the article title name is going to be in quotation marks. So the article name is in quotation marks. Sometimes when some people speak in English, when they refer to quotation marks, they will do this with their fingers. Quotation marks. Last name, first name, period. We have the quotation marks for the article name, but then you have the title of the journal. So the title is always italicized. Then we have the volume number. This is the number symbol, so you can choose whatever number is applicable to your reference. Then volume, number, month, season of the year. And this is something that's interesting. The page number. So the pages that you got it from. So for example, this is the page range. So the example that we have down below is it was pages 22 to 49. That's pretty big. So we have last name, we got first name, we have the quotation marks of the article title name, and then we have the title itself. Then you have the volume number. Maybe there is no number right over here, but there is the volume number. Winter, 1999. So that was the season. Sometimes if you can't find the month, you can find the season when it was published. And then the page range. So there's a few different ways. Here, there's an example of an online journal article. Some people use JSTOR. It's one of the ones that we use in Canada, but I'm not too sure for everybody maybe in the USA. Maybe you use JSTOR, maybe you use like a different online website to find academic journal articles. So there's that. Make sure to put the URL if it is a website. So your college does use JSTOR and your professor likes JSTOR. That's good. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure there. So you want to put a period right after the URL as well. Just make sure that it's separate from it. Yes, you can Google the scholarly works as well. It's always good to try to find relevant and yes, I was going to say relevant and accurate sources. Where's the sauce? Where's the sauce? Here's the sauce. So make sure have you noticed with all of these right here, when it spills over into the second line, it's indented. So there's that space that's right here. When your source gets too long, you have to indent it right over there. This is some very, very strong sauce. It looks like this person is referencing a lot of things. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind too. So when you look up a database as well, make sure that you also reference the database, the DOI. So there's a number that you can access right here. So then your professor can also access it. So if you don't happen to have the URL, try to check if there is the database DOI over here. So then you can check. And then this is the thing that some professors want you to check. Sometimes they'll be able to check if you're submitting your essays at the last minute as well, because you're going to have to put when you accessed it, when you access it online. So for example, this person looked up this database on March 2014. So, it's interesting. So we have the day, the month, and the year that it was accessed. So sometimes your teachers and professors will notice if you happen to do an essay at the very last minute, if you're being honest for when you accessed a certain website. It could be forged. It depends if you want to. Sometimes I think I'm a little bit too honest. I think I would put like my access date like right before when I had to hand in my essay. So I'm bad for that. So the other sources, all other sources must be referenced if they are used in your essay or presentation. So every source, newspapers, websites, magazines. So they have a special method or unique way to be formatted in your Works Cited page. So it is your responsibility to learn the correct method or to ask your professor, because sometimes they might want it slightly different to make it readable for them. So there are some good guides online. If you want to take a screenshot, here are some websites. Here are some websites that you can access. I'm also going to put one, you know what? I'm going to put one over here. This is one that I would use. This is one that I would use when I was in university. Citation machine. There's a few different citation machines you can use online as well. But even if you use a citation machine, just make sure that it's doing it correctly. Sometimes they can even mess up a little bit too. There are many automatic citation systems on the web. So it is your job to make sure that all the information is cited correctly, just like I said. So these systems often make errors. They can make errors. Sometimes those websites don't get updated all the time. So you have to make sure that you're doing it the right way, according to your professors at least. Because you want to make the professors happy when they read your paper. As you learn the format to cite a style of a source, so like newspapers, keep a reference page for yourself. Eventually, you will have all the common formats on a cheat sheet. So keep in mind too, when you have, I'm just going to go back a few slides. Whether it be books, whether it be the journal articles, you need to make sure when you have the last name of the person, whoever published it, it's going to be in alphabetical order. Yes, you got to keep your citations in alphabetical order. I think it's just an easier way to categorize them that way. So, just like what I said, keep it alphabetical order. You have work cited at the top. If you are using APA is different. You're going to put reference or references at the top. So make sure that the title is center and it must be on a new separate page. Double space, just like how you have your essay, make sure that it is double spaced. And you have your indents. So for example, I can see here, how many references do we have here, everybody? On this slide right here, how many references do we have? Bueller? So we have 3 references. We do. Okay, good. Okay. We have 3 references. So we can see that there's this one. This part is indented, so we know that this one is a new reference. Yes, we have 3 references. So this is the first one. This is the second one. This one is a very, very long one because we can see that this information is indented. So this one all belongs to the same reference right here. It is a very long one. And then this one is the third one. This is the third one right over here. So whenever it's indented, you know that it's connected, right? It's just that when it goes to the next line, you have to indent it. So there are 3 references. Good job. A++. A+++. Good job, my smart students. Perfect. Okay. So what is an in-text citation? I talked about the works cited page, but when you actually have your essay, how do you put your citations inside of your essay? How do you do that? It is telling the reader where you got the piece of information. It is important that throughout your essay, you cite or acknowledge where each piece of information came from. And if you don't do this, it is plagiarism. If you take any form of text from somewhere else, it is plagiarism. So, isn't a works cited page enough? No. You need to clearly demonstrate what information comes from what source. So, how can I say this? I'll say this. I've corrected essays before, and the whole essay was plagiarized. They did give me works cited. They gave me their works cited, but their whole essay was plagiarized because they did not first of all, they did not use their own words. They copied every single thing from websites. They basically just took every single paragraph they could find from websites without using their own words. So you need to make sure not to plagiarize. Do not do that. It's a no-no. It's a big no-no. Oops. Big no-no. No plagiarism ever, or else Tane Sensei will be very angry. No plagiarism. So, how do I do an in-text citation? After a piece of paraphrased information, put the author's last name and page number in parentheses. Only use the last name and page number, so without the page range. The period or full stop goes after the parentheses. So this is an example. I love it. Everybody knows no plagiarism. No. Yes, it's true. Sometimes if the professors are being very lenient, you are a very, very lucky student if you don't get kicked out of college or university for plagiarism. Let's just say that. So, this person says, maybe you are talking about your point first, and then 400 animals are injured every year. And then we have the author, Smith, and the page number, parentheses closed, period on the outside. Wow, that was a really small quote. 400 animals are injured every year. Very small quote. Brackets, we have the parentheses here. Last name, number, closed. Period goes on the outside. So in a piece of paraphrased information, use the author's name, then put the page number in parentheses. So, if the author's name is already stated in the information, Smith stated that 400 animals are injured every year. 4. We already say Smith here. You don't have to say it again. It's already said here. Smith stated that 400 animals are injured every year. Page number. Period. If there is no author, use the title of the article in quotations and the page number. I feel that this is a very, very rare case, but it does happen. Sometimes if you're looking on like a web article, for example, sometimes I have not found the I almost said artist. I have not found the author's name. So what you do is you put the article in quotation marks. 400 animals are injured every year. Animal facts. Animal facts. Does in-text citation use only sentences for parentheses? So we're going to get to that. Sometimes you're going to find that there's quotations that are going to be very, very long, and that's when you don't have to use the quotation marks, but you are still going to have to use parentheses always at the end. So you're still going to have to use the parentheses. So the thing is, let's see if I think it was the next slide, or was the slide after? Because I had an example where it gets pretty long. Oh, so what is the difference between paraphrased and quoted information? Paraphrased information is when you read a text or journal or any source of information and put what you learned in your own words. So paraphrased is your own words. So you have to word things in your own way. It demonstrates that you read the information and you understood it, and it demonstrates that you understood the information and you can use what you learned to support your ideas in your essay and presentation. It demonstrates your ability to use and manipulate the information, manipulating in a way that you can use your own words though. Professors want to see your work and not a series of cut and paste ideas. The general rule is to paraphrase your The general rule is paraphrase your essay and sparingly use direct quotations. So here's the thing. I do like to use quotations. I like to use direct quotations a lot when it comes to the text of the primary text. So for example, if you're using like Shakespeare, or if you're using like a book, like To Kill a Mockingbird or something, sometimes the professors will let you use the direct quotations because you're referencing a specific part of a book or a play. But it depends on what you're researching though. Mostly professors like it when you paraphrase. So when you use the, let's see here, the in-text citation, it's good to have like one per paragraph. It's good to have one per paragraph because you want to kind of like build your paragraph around what you're proving. Quoted information is when you read a text or journal or article or any source of information, and this is when you copy and paste it. Quoted information is copy and pasted. What if there's no way to word it in your own words? So that's when you use the direct quotations. So this is what we'll be talking about here. If you don't know how to introduce a certain quote, this is when you can copy and paste it, but you have to make sure that you're going to use quotation marks around it if it's going to be something small. I'm not going to make you read To Kill a Mockingbird. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm not going to force you to read anything. So when you use quoted information, this is common in literature classes. So perhaps you are describing a poem and you need to quote the poem. So this is an example. Just like when I said for books, plays, and poems, you may need to use direct quotations because you can't use your own words for it. You're analyzing or critiquing a document or speech and you need to quote a particular sentence. So maybe, for example, I'm trying to think of something. So I'm just saying this off the top of my head. In Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Hamlet says, to be or not to be, that is the question, blah, 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 blah. So when you say something directly from the source, that's when you can use the direct quotation. If you are writing a regular essay or giving a presentation, cutting and pasting various facts is considered lazy work, so it does not demonstrate that you understand the information and can manipulate it. So even if you reference it properly, it is considered poor quality. So when maybe try to think about it this way. You want to prove your arguments, but you want to take the quotes or things that you've understood and try to prove your point. So maybe, for example, when we move back a little bit, this person says 400 animals are injured every year. Wow. That's a lot of animals who are injured. It seems like that's pretty bad. Maybe they're going to be talking about how many injuries occur every year. 400. Okay, so that's a lot. Why are they happening? Who's doing all these injuries? Why is it happening? So you have to explain and prove your points. Okay. So let's move along just a little bit. Is quoted information cited differently than paraphrased information? So yes, there are different rules if you use quoted information in an essay or presentation. So the ones that we were just looking at are short quotes. So if you have short quotes, they are 4 lines or less. 4 lines or less. Put the author and page in the text at the end, or incorporate the author and put the page at the end. So punctuation is after the parentheses unless they are a part of the original quote. So there are examples here. Animal hunters have killed 400 animals a day since February. And then you have the information here. Smith for the parentheses are enclosed here, comma, and won't stop. So it's kind of like, this is what it's saying. Animal hunters have killed 400 animals a day since February and won't stop. So it's like the teacher or whoever is reading knows where the information came from. According to Smith, animal hunters have killed 400 animals a day since February and won't stop. So this is how you introduce it if you want to say it like this, according to the author. So this is ways how you can kind of like manipulate your information. You can use different sentences to explain the same information. Animal hunters have killed 400 animals a day since February and won't stop. I feel like this one is kind of like a little bit more weird though, because it already says like animal 2 times in the sentence, but that's just my opinion. So those are some examples there. So this is where we get to the long quotations. This is going to happen if you have like plays or books. Usually if something very, very, very detailed you want to say. 5 lines or longer. 5 lines. This is when you get to abuse your essay a little bit. You can put in a lot of information, and then you can make your essay a little bit longer, but you didn't hear it from me. You can kind of manipulate your page count a little bit this way if you want to use some longer quotations, but don't use too many though. Just use enough for your just use enough for your essay. Oh, okay, so this is what you were wondering then. Okay. So, the long quotations. The quote does not have quotation marks. So if it is 5 lines or longer, no quotation marks. Do not put the quotation marks. No. Only quotation marks for the short ones. Let me see here. So short ones, very, very short information, you can use the quotation marks. But for the long ones, you don't need to. So, make sure that the punctuation comes before the parentheses. So it's highlighted right at the end here. Here is the paraphrased information, and here is the direct quotation. This is when you talk about the information that you learned, and then you talk about the quotation. So, many animals are dying in the wild. Poachers or illegal hunters are shooting them to earn money. Oh, so there's a little bit more context here for why they are shooting them. Wealthy people are buying them for fur, tusks, or other valuable body parts. The New York Times recently reported. Here we have a colon. We introduce the long quotation with a colon. So that's what we do for this part here. Over 400 animals are being killed by poachers every month. It is a terrible crime. However, we must understand that the poachers are not bad people. Often, they are poor and desperate and need money. Drought and disease has killed their crops, and there are no jobs. People have families to feed and need a source of money. If they are ignored, they will often turn to illegal activities, such as piracy and poaching. Period. Period goes before the parentheses. Last name, page number. I hope that makes sense. So, for example, what we had over here for the short one, let me see here. Where was it again? So for the short ones, you can see that the period comes after for the short one. It goes on the outside. But for the long one goes inside. So think about the long one comes before, and then the short one goes after. It gives you nightmares. It's okay. This is why I have a little condensed version. That's why we're doing the lessons. So, if you add words to a quote, you could use brackets. I feel like this is where it gets a little bit more of a headache. I don't personally like to do this for essays, but this is where you can do this. Smith stated that there are many intrepid, wise, and smart animals in the jungle. So this is where you add your own words. If you omit words, use 3 ellipses and no square brackets. So Smith stated that, quotation, there are many animals. This is where there's like the missing text right here. It is omitted words, and they are dangerous. MLA, we need to make citing sources standardized and easy, but they can't keep the period. They can't. I'm not too sure why this is a rule, but it's just because it is the way it is. Just because. So, when you have the short quotations, the period goes on the outside. When you have the long quotations, it goes on the inside. So, there's some things right there. So, I'm just gonna go over this briefly because we already talked about the main rules of MLA. But if you ever use MLA format for a presentation with your teachers or your professors, you can also do the same thing with your PowerPoint presentations as well. So you have the slide title. The title slide has the title and the same information as the first page of your essay, perhaps your name, the instructor's name, and the course name and the date. So you can also put figures and you can put charts and you can put things this way into your PowerPoint presentations as well. Oh my goodness, my goodness. You can use a figure note describing the image in a citation. Look at the punctuation here. So we have a figure note. And then there's the blue box here. You can change this number for every picture. So you can change the number here for every picture that you have. You can title the image. You can use the correct title or give it a title as well. The author, if possible, you can do this as a hyperlink, but don't add a web address or full citation. This is just directly for your PowerPoint though. Add a full stop or period. Remember, clip art is free and it's not necessary to cite. If it's free to like copyright free or royalty free for the clip art. just to make that clear. Some clip art is royalty free and copyright free. So we have a little blue box right here. Wow, look at this, everybody. Would you cite your friend as a source for helping you? I would consider that informal information. If that is a real question, if it is an audio format, you could do that, I believe. But if it is your friend is not an academic source, I'd say, unless if your friend has published academic information somewhere in the world, let's say. But maybe if you want to have an informal argument with someone about your best waifu, you can say, my friend has really good taste. Source, my friend. My friend has good taste in waifus. What if your friend is Dr. Mo? But then you would have to look at Dr. Mo's publications. You would have to look that way if it is in text format. So you just got to be careful, because this is the thing when it comes to professors and teachers. They will ask you where your sources came from, and they will ask you with scrutiny. They will say, where is it? Where is the printed format? And they always value the printed format. We got to return to tradition. We got to return to oral tradition. Did you know, this is just a fun fact. Oh gosh, there was a philosopher, and I cannot remember their name because I don't want to be wrong. I think it was either Aristotle or I think it was Plato. Don't reference me on that because I can't remember which one it was. But one of them said that they did not like people writing things down because they thought that people would forget everything in their brain if everyone wrote things down. Which is kind of like weird to think about, right? So we have a table, so you can title the table as well. We have an example here too if you need to title a table during your PowerPoint presentation. You can number the tables. You can put the source under the table as well, and the table can have the information that you found or the information that you created or researched as well. If you use more than one source to create the table, and make sure that they're listed then. So, presentation content. The content should be cited the same as an essay. All facts and information paraphrased or quoted from various sources should be credited to the source. And you know what? I'm gonna say this too. It's the same for like, even if you want to practice this in your everyday life on Twitter or other things, if you find cool artwork from other people, it's good to credit the artist. Or credit where you found something, because people usually appreciate it. If you quote the person, just like on not quote them, but if you tag artists on Twitter and showing them like where you found their artwork, I think they would appreciate it for like where you credit them. Because if people keep posting things all the time without sources, then the people don't get the credit for where credit is due. So the key information is that written on the slide is cited for the PowerPoint presentations, and key information that is spoken needs to be cited and introduced properly as well, because I believe there's a way you can also cite audio sources too, if you look up on the citation machines as well. So, works cited page is necessary at the very end of your essay, and a presentation should have the title slide, agenda slide, content slide, and your conclusion slide, works cited slide, and a thank you at the end. And any questions? So that's that for presentations, but I feel like I went more into detail for the essays in general though, for the works cited. So Does anybody have any detailed questions perhaps they would like to know? Do you have experience on online plagiarism checker tool? Can I also check citation that might be missed? You could check, I believe the one that I just listed for Citation Machine, you can use that one to check for plagiarism as well. There is also, I believe Grammarly, depending on if you have like a paid version of Grammarly, you can check for plagiarism. I have a teacher's account for Grammarly, so I can check when things are plagiarized, if things are not cited properly. So that's the thing, you want to make sure things are cited properly or else it's considered plagiarism, because accidental plagiarism can happen too. So here are some good guides here, if you would like to check for MLA formatting as well. Anyone can take a screenshot if they would like to too. So these are some good guides and resources. Sometimes if you go to your college library or if you go to your university library, there will be like a little like MLA hand guide you can use as well. If you clear your cookies, you can cite as many times. Ah, interesting. See, so people have tricks. People have tricks about this. If you do not want to pay a subscription for some of these things, you do not have to. There are other ways you can kind of go around doing that too. Is it possible in academic writing to have a paragraph less than 5 sentences? I would say you should at least have 5 sentences because you need to have your... Here, I'm going to actually open like a Word document over here. Usually how it works is you want to have your intro... Oh. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger here. You want to have your introduction sentence. And then you want to have like a body. You want to have more sentences. So maybe you have another sentence, 1 sentence, 2 sentence, oops. 2 sentence, 3 sentence, maybe. But then you want to have a sentence that kind of like introduces your quotation. So you can say according to the author's name, according to Smith, blah, 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 blah. According to Smith, this happens on page 4. Oh, this happens here. Thus you have your concluding sentence. And I hope that makes sense, because you want to have some more sentences that go even after this. Maybe you want to have like, maybe you want to have like a 4th sentence. It's kind of like you're trying to encompass things that go like around your quotation, if that makes sense. You're trying to introduce your quotation through either paraphrasing, or you want to try to like get the reader ready for like what you're going to tell them. So maybe, I wonder if we can do something a little bit funny here. I'm trying to see if we can try to do something a little funny. It is believed that Misato is the best Evangelion waifu. Misato is cool, a badass, and gorgeous. She is the most iconic character. But why? I don't know. Maybe some people don't believe in that information. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe they're not going to believe me. So we would say according to, I don't know. Maybe there can be somebody reputable in the anime community. Maybe according to, I don't know, the anime man. I don't know. according to somebody, according to the anime man, I don't know if Joey is a Misato fan or not, but according to the anime man, he states something we don't know. This is where the sauce happens. He states the sauce. And maybe if he published it, we can, according to, sure, let's do that. According to the Trash Aced podcast, they state, oops, we can say they state the sauce, whatever they say, whatever it is, and if they decide to publish it, maybe it's on page 10. Period goes on the outside. Therefore, Misato is the superior waifu, and above the and above all other waifus. I don't know. That's kind of how you want to go about your information. Oh, we got to make sure to indent. We got to indent. We used a short quotation. So because we used a short quotation, the period goes on the outside. So that's kind of how you want to like build up to it. Those are very short sentences. These are very short ones, of course, but I think you understand maybe where I'm coming from here. We don't have to cite well-known sources or everybody know theory. So you want to make sure that your sources are academic, always academic. This is like if you're writing very, very formal essays for your teachers and professors, of course. This is okay. I'm just gonna state here. This is an example. This is an example. There we go. Oh gosh. But if you feel confused with anything, you could always have access to the VOD. The VOD will be up after the live stream. So. And if you have any questions, Google is your friend. Google is a very, very good friend when it comes to citation. And do not hesitate to ask your professors on anything. There we go. Not citing common knowledge is technically allowed, but it's a trap set by your professors. Yeah, you know what? Even though well-known things are in fact well-known, it's you gotta make sure where your stuff is still coming from. Because even like right here, this could be kind of like an oopsie right here. I did this just for fun, but it is believed, or maybe you want to stay away from those kind of like phrases. It's this is like an informal example, right? Oops. That's a very, very informal example right here. I'd say that if we want to go back to the long example, for the long example, it leads up to the quotation. It builds what you're going to say. So just like before, many animals are dying in the world. Poachers or illegal hunters are shooting them to earn money. That's the context. Wealthy people are buying them for fur, tusks, or other valuable parts. The New York Times recently reported, this is the long quote right here. It gives all the necessary information. And then at the end, you can have a sentence that says, therefore, blah, 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 animals are dying to poachers, etc., etc. Does anybody else have any questions? Any other questions? One poacher was quoted saying, "I just wiped out Tomato Town." Oh no. Oh no. Uh-oh. That's an oopsie right there. Oh no. But yes, you can take academic sources from printed materials from your college library, your university library. You can take things from academic journals. You can take things from other published media. Just make sure that on the internet that you find reliable academic sources, and you're basically good to go. Let me see here. I think we had some of the examples here. There we go. Always make sure to format the following for your author: the title of the source, title of the container, other contributors like editors, if there are editors, the version, the number, the publisher, publication date, and the location. How about citing Twitter as a source in any... Okay, that's the thing. Oh shoot, I was going to try to find where I could find that. There is a way that you can... Because I did mention this at the beginning of the stream. When I was in university, MLA format was allowed... Like, they just introduced how you could cite a tweet, which I thought was really interesting. Although... I can't remember if I can find the right one. There is a way, I know it's on Google somewhere, but there is a way that you can use MLA format to do a tweet though, which is, I think, very fascinating. Source, trust me. Just trust me. I have superior taste. That's what your friends would say, right? We have the superior taste. You can definitely reference your friend. Sarcasm, of course. Oh no. That would be quite interesting. Political tweets, yes, because you can even reference... Ooh, I wonder, that would be quite interesting. It could be pretty controversial too. You can tweet what politicians say. Anonymous source says. Oh, I think that would be quite curious for where the anon information is coming from. Oh, there we go. I actually just found one. I found an updated one. Let me put the Microsoft Word back over here. You can, in fact, this is how we're going to cite a tweet that I found right now on OWL, which is a reputable MLA site. This is how you would quote a tweet. And there's also ways to quote YouTube videos as well. See? This is why the OWL website is very, very good, which you can screenshot. These are two ways that you could quote a tweet right here. So here is the Twitter handle. This is what they have said right here. And this is according to Twitter on this date at this time when it was tweeted. And this is the URL from the tweet. So you can, in fact, you can do this in MLA format. Oh, me here. There we go. It's a little bit bigger that way. We can quote YouTube? Okay, let's see what I can find for YouTube then. We'll do one more. Have I dealt with a plagiarized paper? Yes, I have. I did mention it a little bit into the live stream. I have seen papers that have been completely plagiarized, and I've also seen papers that have been plagiarized by accident too. You can also accidentally plagiarize things too. So this is how you quote something or use a works cited for YouTube. Okay, this is interesting. I'm just gonna say here, this is for Twitter. This is how to quote Twitter. And this is how to quote YouTube. YouTube video. So it looks like this will be probably the person. If they actually have their real name, though. If they do have their real name. And then you have... I guess it would be the title of the video here. The title of the video, and it's in quotation marks. Then you have the website, which is YouTube. Then you have uploaded by. So uploaded by the username, I suppose. I guess it depends if the person wants to give their real name in the YouTube video. And then you have the date that it was posted, and then you have the URL with the period at the end. It looks like the period comes at the end of the URL, just like for the academic websites as well. Always put the period at the end, so we know where it finishes. 8 hot dog gadgets put to the test. YouTube uploaded by this person, and then we have the date, and then you have the URL. Fascinating stuff. I see. Well, I guess this is what we're going to have to do then. We're on Spirit University, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? What should we post on Spirit University? What should we post on Spirit University? Let's, do you want to make a tweet all together, everybody? What should we tweet right now? Spirit University is the best VTubing education center, or something like that. I don't know. What would be something fun to tweet right now on Spirit University? Cite this stream on Twitter? Misato is the best waifu, and that is a fact. Okay, according to Spirit University. Would an online platform even be a reliable source? That's the thing. It would not be. It would not be. This is just if you wanted to I feel like it depends on the context and the person and how reputable they are is the thing. You know what? I will say that. Misato is the best waifu, and that is a fact. According to Tane Sensei. According to Tane Sensei, this is a test tweet for academic purposes. Smiley face. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna rephrase this a little bit. Just a minute. According to Tane Sensei, Misato is the best waifu, and that is a fact. There we go. This is a test tweet for academic purposes. So we are going to take this. Okay, I just posted that right now on Spirit University. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this URL. We are on the Misato team, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to put this in bold. So, we have Spirit Uni. Spirit Uni is our... Oops. At Spirit University, period. Sorry, I'm just bolding it. I'm making it bold so then people can see this one a little bit better. And what is the direct thing that I said? The direct thing that I said was this. Oh, shoot. I forgot that it does this because I'm in dark mode. I use everything in dark mode. Okay. According to Tane Sensei, I'm going to use just the singular quotation because that's how you use it. If you have quotations that are in quotations, you don't want to use double quotations. No. You want to use single quotations if you have double quotations. Nato is the best waifu, and that is a fact. And this is a tweet for academic purposes. Oh, remember, we gotta... Oh, sorry. You know what? I forgot that we also need to indent. We gotta indent. Yes, yes, yes. We got to indent. We have like that little spot in between that we're indenting. Happy face. It is, according to Twitter. And I... Wait. That's size 18. Why did it go back to size... Okay. Then we have that. And then we have Twitter. Twitter is the source. Twitter. And then we have... This was posted on... When was this posted, everybody? This was posted... What is today's date? Today is the 15th of March. 2021. It was posted at my time. I guess you could use your own time zone for this. You could use your own time zone according to what the professors say. It was posted at 8:29 my time. PM. Oop, PM. And then we take the Twitter URL. There we go. It's a little bit long because I have the text so big. Ooh, there we go. There we go. We have an academic source. We have an academic source, everybody. But it's not truly academic. It's just an example. I'm gonna move this down. This is how you make a source on Twitter. There we go. I never thought. Oh, and there is one thing that I forgot. Period. We need to put our period. Period. There we go. Thank you for the opportunity for the plug. So if anybody enjoyed anything at all from the lecture, you can definitely clip it. You can definitely share anything on our social media. We have a Twitter, we have a Reddit. Make the sauce, spread the sauce. And I hope you all enjoyed the lecture, enjoyed our time together, and I hope that you learned something. And if you found anything confusing, you can go back and you can replay the VOD as well. So be sure to catch Miss B's streams. I think Miss B is still recovering from her wisdom teeth at the moment, so please give Miss B a lot of love. And make sure to tune in to Aki's streams, and make sure to tune in to Dr. Mo's streams as well. So if anybody, does anybody have any other questions? I know, wisdom teeth. It's okay. Miss B is recovering nice though. Miss B is recovering nice, so it's all good. Well, if there is no questions, I'll just wait a little bit more, but if there is nothing, then be sure to follow us on Spirit Uni on Twitter, and make sure to follow the Reddit. Well, all the links, all the teachers post the links down below in our summary in the description, and make sure to tell your friends to like our videos, and to also hit that big red subscribe button. And yeah, I had a lot of fun today. I hope you had fun too. Next teaching session for myself is going to be on Monday, and then we're going to have our fun office hours on Sunday, so you get to see me back to back. Yesterday, we played some putt-putt. We played putt-putt. You're welcome, you're welcome. I'm so glad. I'm so happy that everyone had a good time. Okie dokie. I will see you next time then. If there are no questions, class is dismissed, and I will see you next time. Thank you again for joining. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. I know Monday is the hardest to get through, so I believe in everybody. You will get through this week. We're just getting started. See you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.